You are now entering The Missing Frame. I just watched Halloween Ends, once again directed by David Gordon Green. This is a film trilogy that retconned a whole bunch of sequels, wiped off the dry erase board, and then said, you know, the only one that actually exists is the timeline and the events of the original 70s classic. So Halloween 2018, also called Halloween, was a direct sequel to the 40 years prior Halloween 1978. With Halloween 2018 being the massive success that it was, both critically and commercially, I thought it was a great movie, one that really brought a lot to the character of Laurie Strode, and introducing her family I thought was something that was really well done. The fact that it felt even more personal while still giving this personification of fear to the character of Michael Myers. It was intense, it was brutal when it needed to be, the kills were pretty much fucking awesome, and the next film, while it definitely was a big setup and it got a little heavy-handed with the way it preached in Halloween Kills, the kills absolutely delivered, and what mattered about some of the kills was that you were actually rooting for some of the people in the movie, like Big John, Little John. I mean, come on, there were several couples in there that you didn't want to see go, but you knew Michael Myers was gonna fuck them up anyways. Major spoilers for the final moments of Halloween Kills, but with that movie hitting its climax and kinda ending on a big cliffhanger with the fact that Michael Myers, after getting brutally beat down by the mob mentality and everybody that came after him in Haddonfield, after the events of that night tied both that movie and the first one together, with them both taking place in the same night on the same Halloween, it's weird to see us jump 4 years into the future, 4 years after Laurie Strode's daughter has been murdered at the hands of Michael Myers, and now Laurie is not exactly on the revenge path. She has found enlightenment. So if you thought that she was sidelined in the last movie by being in the hospital, oh, just wait till you get a load of suburban Jamie Lee Curtis. Almost nothing about this film makes any sort of sense. I'm talking the few jump scares that we get, I'm talking the Michael Myers storyline, and the character of Corey that comes into the fold that is played absolutely terribly by an actor that I had never even heard of before. This movie falls on its face more times than I can even keep up with. The actors almost feel like they're delivering lines that are like word vomit. Like, do you even believe or have any conviction behind what you're saying right now? And I don't entirely blame them. A lot of that falls on the scripting, and this movie is written so haphazardly. It's like they had no idea what to do with this movie, and it's almost like the 2018 sequel should have just ended the franchise right there instead of just trying to scrape out a few more $1 million. The pacing of Halloween Ends is weird, and I can understand why some people would see that as a breath of fresh air. But it's not like they're completely avoiding the tropes of the horror genre, they're just playing into different films instead of what was canon for Halloween and the way that Michael Myers kills in the past. Now they're inserting this other character of Corey, and apparently Michael Myers might just be supernatural, who knows, apparently hate is just a bug that we can pass around like it's fucking COVID, and now Michael Myers has people with his eyes going out to kill. I can't imagine how you would even sell this movie, or how Universal or Blumhouse thought that this was the way to stick the landing for the finale, because so many things just go in directions that I just wanted to scream in the movie theater. I don't understand why these characters are motivated to do the things they do. There's a relationship between Allison and this new Corey kid that pops up that makes no sense at all. The opening to the film, while it definitely is cool, and there's a scene that involves this Corey kid doing some babysitting, and we see some fallout from that, and then the events flash forward, I understand in the sense that we have a kid who has been bullied, but his actions and the way things pay off, it makes you feel like they're trying to give us some sort of Joker origin story, except the character is in no way empathetic. I don't empathize with this guy at all. In fact, even the regular established characters like Laurie and Allison that are in the family and have reasons to be so egregiously upset with Michael Myers, it feels like all of that flew out the window. The things that they just conveniently brilliantly fit, and the amount of plot devices, even the framing device for the entire movie, the fact that Laurie Strode is writing her biography and she's journaling her thoughts and she's putting everything down. It feels so preachy, it feels so heavy-handed. And if you thought that Halloween Kills got a little bit preachy with its message about mob mentality, oh, just wait till you hear what Ends has to say about how evil can spread. The lack of suspense in this movie was more frightening than any of the actual events that transpired in Halloween Ends, which, when you say it out loud, seems even crazier than it actually is, but it's true. Even the kills in this movie are very frustrating, oftentimes disappointing, and the overall body count is just lower than I would have anticipated for a movie that is closing out the Halloween franchise. It's supposed to be the nail in the coffin, but I think it turns out to be that, but not in the way that they wanted it to be. It's the nail in the coffin because they got pretty much everything about it wrong. The way the director and the writers of the film try to literally steer you into feeling a certain type of way, or maybe seeing something or realizing something, I just feel disrespected. I feel talked down to and insulted, not just by the petty dialogue, not just by the throwaway characters or their motivations. This doesn't feel like a Halloween film, and not in the, oh cool, they breathed new life into the franchise type of way. It's more so the opposite, like they turned on the vacuum to high suction and just went for everybody's jugular to get all of the blood and make sure that we had nothing left. Most of the characters, and definitely the couples that it feels like we're supposed to be rooting for or having sympathy for, at least to a degree, I find myself feeling intensely the opposite of that. If not nothingness, then it's anger, because the decisions and the way that things pan out so carelessly. I mean, the character of Allison is all over the place. She was written pretty strongly in the first film. It started to fall apart in the second act, and with this one flashing forward 4 years into the future, her workplace, the way that she interacts with this Corey character, it doesn't feel like a human being that lived through surviving Michael Myers. There's a couple of driving sequences where this really bad dark wave music that sounds like it's supposed to be straight out of the 80s but also modern is playing, and it just doesn't fit alongside, obviously, you have John and Cody Carpenter working on the score, and you've got a film that doesn't know what the fuck it wants to be, because it shouldn't exist. It's an executive decision. It's something that was pushed from one sequel into an entire trilogy, but it has no real merit or reason to go there, so they start trying to find new excuses and new reasons to go into this other territory or a backstory or whatever it might be, but they don't avoid any of the pitfalls. And at least in Halloween Kills, we had some awesome flashback sequences that took us back to that night in 1978. This is a film, unfortunately, Halloween Ends, that doesn't have any of that. It doesn't feel like it has style. It's poorly written, it's poorly conceived and acted, and it all comes together in this smorgasbord that feels rushed, underwritten, underperformed, and just kind of carelessly shot in many ways. Even the little jump scares that they try to work in there, the fake outs, everything else is just incredibly frustrating. It grinded my gears, and I found myself trying not to groan aloud in the theater because I kind of think this movie is dog shit. The report card is in, and since I'm not Jeremy Jahns, I'm giving this movie a D-. The Halloween franchise going out on a note like this just leaves a very bitter taste in my mouth. So while I did not enjoy this movie at all, I'm gonna ask you, what did you think of Halloween Kills? Let me know in the comments section down below. And if you're down there, maybe take a second, hit the like button. It really does help support the channel. Subscribe to The Missing Frame, and I will see you soon for more.